Alright, welcome back. Clinched videos. Let's get back into those. The Tampa Bay Lightning are the next team that we got to talk about that has clinched a playoff spot. They are playing not very good. To be honest with you, this team, even though their record looks good, their stats look good, they're tired. They are freaking tired. They don't have any official injuries, but in reality, they have a lot of players sidelined right now, and they could get a whooping in the playoffs. Then again, it is Tampa, so we'll see. But there's a lot of stuff we got to unravel in this video, so anyways, we'll start off with the record. At the time of their clinching, they had played 77 games. They have a 45, 26, and 6 record for 96 points. They have scored 267 goals and have only let in 231, and they are 12th in the NHL. It seems like with every year, they kind of get progressively worse, to be honest with you. Like that first year, the bubble year, they looked all... I think they had solid stats. I think they were at the top of the league, or around the top of the league. Then you had the year where they went back-to-back. They were third in the division that year. And then the year where they lost in the finals last year, I believe they were third in the division. And then again, they're third in the division. But it feels like this year is different than others. It feels like they're more tired. And the biggest thing is, too, when you look at, playoffs in, the previous couple of years, Tampa's made it to the finals 3 straight seasons. And, you have to win 16 games to win a Stanley Cup. So you add those up. Tampa had 14 last year, so they were 2 away from their 3rd Stanley Cup. So 16 plus 16, 32, plus 14, I believe, is 62. That's definitely not the right math. I should know this, 46, I believe. That is 46 extra playoff games there, and that's not even including the losses too. I know that's probably the wrong math. But somewhere around in that number is how many extra games Tampa has played. Basically, that's almost a full whole season of extra hockey. And I don't care what team you are. I don't care how deep you are. I don't care how many good players you have. That hurts a team. That makes a team really tired. And it's shown this season. They have looked tired at points. Now, it hasn't stopped a lot of their players from producing at a very insane rate. Nikita Kucherov, again, having another really good season. 77 games played, 29 goals, 77 assists for 106 points. Kucherov, once again, having another really good year. It feels like this is his first full season in ages. I don't know if he played a full season last year. I don't think he did. But yeah, he's playing really well this season, staying fully healthy, and you can't help but like it. I'm glad that he's back. He's one of my favorite players on the Lightning of all time. I definitely like him a lot, so I'm glad he's back playing a full healthy year. You got Braden Point up next, another one of my favorite players. Honestly, when watching Tampa win those back-to-back cups, and even last year, Braden Point was honestly one of my favorite players. Just like for me, when you look at the stats, he is one of the more underrated forwards in the entire league. Honestly, that first cup in 2020, not necessarily that second cup, but that first cup, it was all him. I feel like, honestly, it was solely him that was carrying the Lightning all the way. And honestly, in the games that he wasn't playing, Tampa lost. Every game where he wasn't playing, Tampa would lose. And every game that he was in, Tampa would win, or almost every game. But that goes to show the immense value that Braden Point has to this roster. 77 games played, 48 goals, 41 assists for 89 points. He's been one of my favorite players for a long time now. Obviously, I've made almost 60 different Tampa Bay Lightning related videos. I have made 54 videos on the Tampa Bay Lightning in the history of this channel. And it just goes to show, really, watching this team go on all of those runs. Go on all 3 of those runs. It just shows, all of the favorite players and all the players that I've liked throughout these cup runs. And it's just been amazing watching them. Next then, you got Steven Stamkos, 76 games played, 33 goals, 47 assists for 80 points. Stamkos, once again, having another really good season. He reached a lot of milestones this season, 1,000 games, the 1,000-point plateau, I believe 500 career goals. So he's reached a lot of milestones this season. It's been a milestone year for him, but he's hoping to get his 3rd Stanley Cup. And honestly, that would solidify them as a dynasty. Winning 3 cups out of 4 years in this decade is very hard. And honestly, many would argue, because some disagree, that Chicago was a dynasty because they didn't win their cups periodically like they won in 2010, 2013, 2015. Many would argue that Tampa would be a dynasty if they either won last year or if they won this year. That would put them in the dynasty conversation for me. But anyways, next up then you have Brandon Hagel, one of their deadline acquisitions of last year. They gave up a lot for. He's proved to be a really good player. 77 games played, 27 goals, 32 assists for 59 points. And then you have Alex Killorn, who is fifth in scoring with 77 games played, 24 goals, 35 assists for 59 points. I would like to mention that they're likely not going to be able to keep him. Yeah, and this goes to show, when you have a team as deep as Tampa, a team that is so deep and has so many really solid players, and with the cap rising as well, you're going to need to pay these guys. These guys are going to want money, and Killorn, rightfully so, is going to want money. He's been a key role in all three of those playoff runs. So I would honestly expect him to get some big money on the FA market this season, especially since the FA market is very dry. Killorn will definitely get a big hit, and he's likely not going to be able to stay with the team. And that really sucks. It sucks seeing all these players leave and seeing this team disband over time, but they still keep making it to the finals. They still keep finding hidden gems. So I honestly think this team's all right. But anyways, some other players, Nick Paul. Paul's looked good this season. Then you have, almost said Ross Colton. Oh, it is Ross Colton. I don't know why I was thinking of someone different, but Ross Colton there too, another solid player. Then you got Anthony Cirelli. Three really solid forwards that didn't make the top five, but they're definitely very notable, and I've enjoyed watching them play throughout this time, and I'm definitely excited to keep on seeing them in yet again another playoffs. Depending on how far they go, we'll see if I'll watch them for a long time, but yeah, I'm really hoping. Next up then, you got defenseman Victor Hedman up to start off. 72 games played, 8 goals, 37 assists for 45 points. Hedman's had relatively a down year this season. I feel like he's hurt again. Honestly, I feel like he's hurt. I mean, it's not like a down season, but it's not like the typical Victor Hedman year. I just feel like he's hurt. It just seems like he's hurt. It just looks like he's hurt. Honestly, I don't know. Then you got Mikhail Sergachev up next. 75 games played, 9 goals, 50 assists, 59 points. Another really solid defenseman. He's having a much better year. I believe he is tied for 5th in scoring. So once again, another really solid defenseman. He's always been a solid defender. I've been saying it for years. Tampa Bay's blue line, all the players that have gone through it, like David Savard, Brandon Coburn, etc. All those players, I just mentioned like the two worst, but anyways, all those players that have run through that blue line, Jan Rutta as well, like those players are incredibly solid. And, you know, honestly, those players have left and they've gone to other teams and they haven't been too good, which stinks, but really, I guess it's part of the business. Then you got Ian Cole, who's obviously has controversies over a couple of games earlier in the season. 73 games played, 3 goals, 14 assists for 17 points. He's been a really solid third pairing, second pairing defenseman at times. Definitely going to be an asset heading into the playoffs. A look at their deadline acquisitions. Their only deadline acquisition that they made this year was the Tanner Jeannot trade, and honestly, it's relatively underwhelming. Now, I know people are going to go over people are already going over the top with this, saying that, oh, they overpaid for Jeannot. People don't realize, and I said this in the Jeannot trade video, people don't realize that Jeannot brings something that a lot of players in this era really don't. He brings physicality, he brings grit, and honestly, you need players like that in Stanley Cups. There are plenty of players on Tampa alone that definitely play that role. Patrick Maroon, definitely one of them. He's not a player that scores, but he won 3 straight Stanley Cups solely by being physical, fighting, hitting, playing that grit role. And that's what Jeannot brings to the team. However, they did give a lot up for him. They did give too much up for him, in my opinion. And honestly, if they were looking for offense, it's been pretty underwhelming. 18 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. Obviously, they're, not a bad, not terrible. It does take some players time to adjust with their team, and I think he could be a big role in the playoffs if he wasn't hurt. if he wasn't hurt, he would play a massive role in the playoffs. I think he would be. He probably would score a lot in the playoffs, but he's going to be hurt. So we'll see what comes out of that. And then as for rookies, I talked about him in the rookie spotlight video, but he got Nick Perbix. Perbix looking like yet again another gem on that Lightning blue line. We'll see what he does come playoff time, though. 64 games played, 4 goals, 15 assists for 19 points. Again, another really solid defenseman will be playing a top 4 role likely in the playoffs. And that's another thing about Tampa, too, and this is a good thing. Tampa, yet again, keeps finding gems in guys like Anthony Cirelli and Ross Colton, just to name a couple. Definitely, these guys have played really solid roles on these teams that have made it to the finals, and I think Perbix could be yet again another one of those players. As it goes for goaltenders, you got Andrei Vasilevskiy, whose stats are average. I mean, they're not like average, but they're solid, but they're not like Vasilevskiy level solid as we've seen in previous years. But Vasilevskiy turns it on in the playoffs, and people got to realize that. 58 games played, 34, 20, and 4, a 2.57 goals against average, and a .918 save percentage. Vasilevskiy, I feel like, will probably steal about 2 or 3 games in this playoffs for Tampa. No matter how far they go, whether they lose in round 1 or they lose in the finals or win in the finals, in fact. I honestly do think that Vasilevskiy will steal games. It just happens every year. There was like that Game 7 streak where he wouldn't let in a goal. And I witnessed all of that. I witnessed both cup runs, and it was amazing watching Vasilevskiy play. And I've never seen a goalie that's better than him. And I still believe, even though Linus Ullmark and all these other goalies are having amazing seasons, I still do believe Andrei Vasilevskiy is the best goalie in the league. Until I can see otherwise, that a goalie comes into the playoffs and really proves that wrong. Because when you look at previous goalies, you got Braden Holtby, you got Jordan Binnington. Those two players, Holtby's retired. Binnington is a baby now. He seems to not be himself. And then you got Darcy Kemper, who is one of my personal favorite goalies. But face it, he wasn't that good. So, and Vasilevskiy backstopped this team to 2 Stanley Cups. And that's why I think, hands down, he's the best goalie in the league. Then you got Brian Elliott in a backup role. 19 games played, 11, 6, and 2, a 3.3 goals against average, and a .891 save percentage. Backup, not too bad. Now, when you look at injuries, they don't have any official, but they have a ton of players sidelined, and Janot being one of them. Killorn, I believe, is sidelined too. Cirelli is sidelined. Sergachev, I think, is sidelined as well. And seeing a lot of those players hurt too, and the fact that they played almost a full extra season of hockey definitely kind of makes me really wonder, could this be Toronto's year? I said it in the Clinched video for Toronto. This is probably the best chance for Toronto to win. Probably. I know I'm going to end up jinxing it somehow, and Toronto fans are going to rain hell on me, but I feel like this is the best year for Toronto to win, and I hate to say that as a Tampa Bay, someone who's liked Tampa for many years, but I really like Toronto's odds this year. And, honestly, what I'm kind of thinking is that Toronto could win in like 5 or 6 games. Maybe not even it takes them to 7. If it takes them to 7, I feel like Vasilevskiy could backstop them. But honestly, if it's Toronto in Game 7, no matter what team it is, I'm taking the other team. Honestly, it just feels like this team just struggles in Game 7s. This got to be the year, though, honestly, for Toronto. But anyways, for Tampa, they just look tired. They're not going to have home ice advantage. They're 3rd in the division, so they're kind of screwed in that area. But they were in this situation last year, and they beat Toronto, they beat Florida, they beat New York, and they fought hard against Colorado. But we'll see. We'll see if these mid-season woes can really just bring the team, motivate the team back to where they were. But we'll see. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. For all of your supporters, I really do appreciate it. Please go make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. And anyways, thank you all for watching. We'll get into the Oilers preview next. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.